Good morning, guys. This video is going to be unique because it's a collaborative effort, a collaboration with I think 12 other YouTubers headed by Devin from Backcountry Exposure. He sent out an invite to all of us and asked us to showcase our go-to sleep system. So stay tuned and I'll show you everything that makes up my sleep system here and why I've chosen it. Alright guys, so first of all I want to thank Devin at Backcountry Exposure for inviting me to participate in this little collaborative project that he started to show off the sleep systems with these other YouTubers. They're all great channels to go check out, so look at the description below, and if you haven't seen all the other videos, check them out below and go to their channels and look for their videos demonstrating their sleep systems. So I'm excited to show off mine. It'll be fun here, but before I show off what I have set up right now, I want to take a minute to talk about hammocks. There's probably going to be a number of videos. I expect to see some hammock systems in some of these videos showing off their sleep systems. I was tempted to do the same for me. A few years ago I discovered hammock camping, hammock backpacking, and was really found it really appealing. There's a lot of benefits. I won't take time to go over those right now. It'll be done in another video. I was looking over a lot of different hammock systems, a lot of makers of hammocks. There's a lot of companies that make hammocks now, and a few that really specialize in hammocks meant for backpacking and full-on camping, overnight sleeping and all that. So I stumbled into one called the Switchback from Tree to Trail, and I did not have it in my budget to buy one from them, so I got thinking maybe I could make one. So I looked at as many pictures and videos as I could of its design and setup, and then I went through a few websites to acquire all the raw materials that it looked like I would need, and came up with my own Switchback hammock. And what this is it's a double layer hammock made of 2 layers of 1.1 ripstop nylon and a bug net that zips over the top of it. I made 2 layers because I wanted to be able to insert sleeping pad. I, of course didn't have it in my budget to also get a really nice down under quilt and top quilt system. So I went with, so I could use what I already had. I did the double layer so I can slip in a little sleeping pad. So for the sleeping pad, what I've actually resorted to is this really ultra light auto shade here. I picked this up at Family Dollar for a couple bucks a few years ago. I like it because it's not only very light, almost weighs nothing, but it's got the reflective mylar embedded in it, so that's nice to help reflect a little bit of body heat back to you. And it is very flexible, so it cocoons around you very well, and it's extra wide. It's wider than a normal sleeping pad at about, I want to say it's 24 to 25 inches wide, so it does wrap around my shoulders nicely, and really does a good job of keeping me warm in my in my hammock. So I will have to do a video highlighting everything that I have in this. It's but if you know what a switchback hammock is, it's very much like a switchback hammock. And so for the sake of time, I will move on and just know that I really like this, but it's a little over 2 pounds for this whole hammock thing here, including tree straps, and you know, even going with the lightweight suspension I did rig up some whoopee slings for it as well that I use for my suspension. The hammock itself doesn't weigh a whole lot, but you know, when you add the tarp, which I have a simple 8x10 sil nylon tarp here, rectangular. I have it rigged up in some snake skins that I made for it, and so when I add this on top of my hammock, it comes out to be about 3.5 pounds. So that's about as much as another solo tent that I've had until recently, which I had used on the Highline Trail and through Capitol Reef, some other trips over the last couple of years. It too is 3.5 pounds. So I wasn't really saving any weight by going to the hammock system. It's just more comfortable in some ways, less comfortable in other ways. There's a lot of pros and cons to it, I found, but point being, it does not, for the whole hammock system that I had, it didn't save me really any weight. It's very comparable to a average solo tent system. And again, there are things I like about it, there are things that I don't like about the hammocks. So again, you know, I'll do another video going over the pros and cons of hammocks versus tents in my experience later on, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. But I'm going to go into what I have now. So what I have set up here is a tarp tent notch. I just recently acquired this. If you've subscribed to my channel, you've probably seen that I've recently posted up an overview of all different configurations that I can set this up in. And just to summarize it real quick, it's a ultralight shelter from Tarp Tent. It's a single man shelter, and as you can see, it sets up with trekking poles, so that saves weight. Without the trekking poles, the tent itself is 27 ounces. That's less than 2 pounds. So that was really appealing to me. It's a double wall shelter in that it's got this inner mesh bug net with the bathtub floor, so it's got the inner body, but it's also got the separate fly. That makes it modular in that you can leave the fly at home and just take you can leave the inner mesh bug net body inner body here at home, and then just take out the fly and set it up like the shelter that it is, as a pyramid, kind of a pyramid style tarp, and get full coverage all the way around. And you know, so that's a benefit. And the fly itself is just about a pound and maybe an ounce or two more. So that's nice. If I'm going to just go on a short overnighter and the sky's going to be clear and I want to do some stargazing, but bugs are going to be a problem, I can leave the fly at home and just take the inner body here and set up the mesh all by itself, and you know, that's less than a pound. So so I really like the versatility that provides. The only downside of it is that it's not freestanding, because it does have to be staked in with the trekking poles. Now, I have been able to anchor it without stakes and use big rocks instead. So if I'm going down to southern Utah, down on the slick rock in the desert back out there where there's it's a lot harder to securely anchor a tent or find good sites to do that. So I know I can set it up without stakes, but I don't know how well it would hold up in high winds without stakes. You know, by it just being anchored to rocks or big heavy rocks. So that's something I'm kind of leery about, and because of that, depending on where I'm going, if high winds are expected, I may or may not still go for my old half, my dome style tent that I can rig up as a freestyle shelter. And so anyhow, so that's my tarp tent Notch. Everything else about it, I love it. Lightweight. I took it out on its maiden voyage this last week. Worked great, and yeah. So one other thing that works with my tarp tent Notch here is I did get the pre-cut piece of Tyvek that was offered with it to serve as a little ground sheet. Does it absolutely need a ground sheet? If you are very careful about where you pitch it, probably not. But even then, biggest reason why I like ground sheets, besides just a little extra protection against your tent and your air pad, is that it just keeps the bottom of the tent clean. A lot of places of pitched net gets a lot of condensation underneath and turns the dirt into a little bit of mud or sticky sand or whatever. And so I really like not having a dirty, muddy tent to pack up. So the ground sheet really protects against that, and then I can still stuff the tent inside my pack and inside its case, inside the pack, be fine there, and then the ground sheet itself can stay on the outside of my pack, and I don't have to worry about the dirt and mud that gets on it causing a fuss. So okay, for my sleeping bag, this is a Teton Sports Altos 20. Why do I have this? Well, to be frank, I received it from my friends. I have some friends that work for Teton Sports, and I was lucky enough to be one they selected to receive it for free in exchange for a review on Amazon and elsewhere, and to provide feedback to them. And I really love this bag. It's a down bag, EN rated for 20 degrees, and it's treated with the treatment they use to keep the down, allow the down to still loft and be insulative even if it gets wet. It weighs 2.1 pounds, so it's not the lightest 20 degree down bag out there, not at all, but compared to bags I've had in the past, which have all been synthetic, this really is a luxury item for me now because of the fact that it is so lightweight compared to what I've had before, and so warm. I believe the down used in it is a cheaper down. It's $5.50 or $6.50, somewhere in that range. But I'm not going to complain at all for its price point. Even if I did not get this for free, this is a really nice bag that I would really consider buying now that I've been able to use it and sleep in it several times now. I had it on the Highline Trail last year, woke up with some frost. I've slept in it down in the 20s elsewhere, and I can confirm that without having to add extra layers to my sleeping clothing, this thing does keep me very, very warm. So that is my sleeping bag. I do want to say, in midsummer here in the Wasatch Mountains and further south, it only gets down to about 60s, so the 20 degree bag would be a bit much for those kind of trips. So I do have a Ledge Sports 40 degree synthetic bag that I will use on those trips. This is a Scorpion, they call it. And it packs down to smaller than a football. It weighs like 1.9 pounds, so very light. And this is kind of my go-to bag in the mid-summer months of July and August, when I'm here in the Wasatch Mountains or elsewhere down south. If I'm up in the Uinta Mountains, much higher elevation in those basins, and it gets much colder up there, and so again I'll default back to the Altos 20 for that. But those are kind of my two bags that I use throughout most of the year. In the midwinter, and when it's really cold, into the teens and below, I will go with a Altos Zero bag. So I do have an Altos Zero from Two-Tone Sports as well that I have found to be very, very warm for the winter. But that does not my go-to bag because the majority of the trips aren't in midwinter. So for my sleeping pad right now, I have not had this for very long. It's a Climate Insulated Static V Ultralight. Picked it up through a drop from massdrop.com. This is actually a custom-made pad that's custom-made specifically for the Mass Drop community, and it was $60 for the insulated version. It weighs 17 ounces with an R value of 4.4, and I'm really happy with it. I'm a skinny guy and a fairly lightweight guy, so I don't sink into it too much. And my arms, it's wide enough to take my arms, my shoulders and all that, go down the side. And while out with it this last week, it did get really cold in the middle of the night. Not that I woke up cold, but as with all air pads, it did deflate a little bit. And so I did have to wake up in the middle of the night to top it off with an extra breath. And the reason I discovered that is because when I was on my side, my hip was sunk into the ground a little bit, and so but the extra breath, to top it off, fix that, so I don't have any issues with, like some people do with these static Vs, where their hips still find their way into the ground. But I find as long as I fill it up real firm, I don't have any issues with any pressure points hitting the ground when I'm laying flat on it or on my side. I got one other little thing. I do carry along a little kitchen garbage bag that I've converted into a little inflator. I like to use this to inflate the sleeping pad up. I cut off the top of a plastic water bottle and rigged it so that half of it's inside the garbage bag here, the top cap is on the outside, threads on, and then I drilled a hole just big enough to fit my sleeping pad valve into it, and that saves me of a lot of breath, and there's a lot of things I like about that. So that saves me from getting lightheaded from having to fill up my bag, and it works really well and doesn't really weigh anything. So let's see here, pillow. I am still working that out. I've got a couple different options here. I've got this, let's start with this blue one. So I've actually got gone through a couple Climate pillows. I had a Climate Cush, then I've got this Climate Pillow X to try out. It does cradle your head very well when you're on your back, but by itself, I find it lacking for sleeping on my side, and I do sleep on my side a lot. But it does work well with this old pillow system I have. I used to have a plastic inflatable insert that went with this little pillowcase and this little memory foam insert, and that was really nice when that worked, but that plastic inflatable sprung a leak in a crease and was irreparable in the seam, and so I've held on to the case and the memory foam, and what I've been able to do is I can take this Climate X here, Pillow X, and that will, as long as it's not fully inflated, that will slide down nicely and provide some nice cushion there, and I find that works really pretty well. Another option I have is to take my puffy down jacket, and I can stuff that in there, and that provides pretty good comfort as well. And so that's an option there. And but I also picked up recently a Wilderness Technology pillow here. It only weighs a couple ounces, and I really like this too. At first I didn't, because I had it. I would sleep on it with it fully inflated, thinking that would provide the best support, but it was too rigid and too firm, and it became very uncomfortable. But I found by deflating it a little bit, and so only inflating it to about halfway to 2/3 of the way, it really makes it more flexible and conforms much better to my head and neck. And so I've been enjoying it ever since then. So now I can't decide which pillow system I like better, but I do find that one I can put under my head, the other I can put between my knees, and sleep very comfortably that way. Okay, so for my final part of my sleep system here, I'm going to just quickly go over my clothing here. Generally I take a pair of loose-fitting micro fleece pants that I have here. These are made by Terramar. Got them through SierraTradingPost.com, and you know, they're very comfortable, very lightweight, and I like them. For my shirt, my top, we'll usually take like a merino wool top. This is a merino wool shirt made by IO Merino, and you know, it fits loosely but snugly, and you know, helps keep me warm, and you know, it's light, thin, and also very comfortable. And then I have a pair of fairly thick wool socks. These are made by Wigwam, and you know, they keep my feet warm at night. And altogether, that also helps to protect my sleeping bag. You know, I don't have to worry about putting in a liner or anything like that. So, and also, if it's a colder night, you know, I do have this beanie on hand that I'm often putting on to just keep my head warm. Especially with the way my pillow systems work, it's kind of a struggle to keep my head comfortably on the pillow and use the hood in the mummy bag. So sometimes I just ignore the hood in the mummy bag and go just straight for a beanie. Alright, so that is going to do it. This video may be longer than I thought, but I hope it wasn't too boring for all the gear geeks out there like myself. And my dog is saying it's time to go, so just want to wish you guys all to have a great day, and hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing what everyone else has. So farewell.